and McLean. Get Coach's Corner.
You're listening to the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast with your host, Andy Plymer,
For someone to explain.
bringing you up-to-date coaching concepts from the world of rugby,
The distinction between these mandatory
sharing ideas to make the game better.
Okay, welcome to episode number 10 of the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast. I'm your host, Andy Plymer. Joining me today is Curry Hitchborn. Curry is a long-time servant of rugby in the British Columbia province in Canada. He's had numerous roles ranging from BC under-17 boys to roles with Capilano Senior Men, which is a club side in BC. And he's now in his third year as the forwards coach for the University of British Columbia. We've coached together in the Canada U17 program in the past, and I'm really happy to have him on the show. He knows his rugby and is a high-quality human being. So, Curry, welcome, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andy. It's nice to be able to talk to you face-to-face instead of grammatically incorrect texts.
For sure. All right, so what's your backstory? You're the forwards coach now for UBC in your third year. What's going to happen in the 10 years leading up to that?
It started with my brother and I moving up to Canada from the United States with our father.
Yep.
Picked up a rugby ball when I was 12. It was either that or hockey. We couldn't afford to play hockey. It was too cost prohibitive. We started out simply enough, 3/4 length sleeve cotton jerseys in the middle of the rain. And rugby was very good to me. You know, I played at Handsworth in North Vancouver, played for the Capilanos. And then I went down to the United States on a rugby scholarship. Played for the University of Nevada with Todd Clever was my roommate.
Okay.
Probably couldn't pick me out of a police lineup these days.
And you've been in a few.
Moved back to Canada, played a little bit more rugby, but snapped my Achilles tendon in half, blew my knee out, busted my face, broke my hand. They just piled up, and I was never that good anyways. I got engaged in coaching by a man by the name of Rick Turner, who was an RDO out of Taranaki, and Capilano head coach at the time, and he put me on to coaching. So at 21, I started coaching men's third division, and then
The Thirsty Thirds.
Yeah, I went from playing with them to coaching them, which was difficult for a 21-year-old.
Yeah, for sure.
And then from there, I went and I started coaching our U17 team, and then I met Ramsey Slangston along the way.
Yep.
He coached against each other at high school teams, and then wound up coaching together on the U19 team. And one year he turned to me and he said, "Hey, look, I gotta go." I was like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "PC," and I was great. You know, good on you, man. You're a good friend. At that point in time, UBC was kind of it wasn't a bit. It was the whipping boy. It was that game on our men's schedule where we could breathe a sigh of relief and rest some guys. And not taking away from the rugby club that did a lot for me or rugby in general, but a year later, he had asked me if I wanted a job after we'd won our Roundsfell Cup.
Yeah.
With, the BC Men's Premiership. Asked me if I wanted a gig, and I jumped at it. I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And that was in 2013. So I've been there ever since. In between that, I was recently at Canada U17 West with Dan Meikle out of Alberta.
Yeah.
And then I've done some U17 or some BC U19 stuff. I was at the last CRCs as an assistant coach to Chris Descasa while we were in Regina. He did an excellent job with that team, and we'll see where I am with that moving to the new year. Recently just lost our U18 club championship to the Castaway Wanderers. That was on Sunday. So I'm just wrapping up my season here. Our last game for UBC will be December 5th.
Yep.
Burnaby Lake. It's the Mainline Cup, and we'll be playing them at the Keith Woods Arena at UBC.
Okay. Oh, good luck. All the best. Yeah, and Ramsey's is a good bloke, and I'll be keen to get him on the show sometimes too to have a chat. There's some good coaches out there, some good people. Basically, what I wanted to focus on in this show was you're coaching a university team in a men's league, and like you kind of alluded to, there's been some rough patches for UBC in the past, and they're doing extremely well right now. So we'll get to a few questions on the pros and cons of coaching that age group in a senior men's team. But just for listeners, what's a description of the men's league that UBC competes in?
We play in what's known as the BC Elite Men's Competition. It's a 2-part season. So we play in the fall, which is qualification for the second half, which is the spring.
Okay.
It's an odd season. We have a 6-week break, which we at UBC managed to pepper in a trip to Cal Berkeley or a boot game against University of Victoria. And it's perceptibly, it's the top men's league in North America.
Yeah.
I'm not certain that is entirely the case.
Yep.
A very competitive league. We routinely come across national level players, ex-national level players, and emerging players. We're starting to see a lot of players come out of back east, living in clubs in British Columbia, preparing for age grade teams, be they Canada U18 or Canada U20 or the Maple Leafs.
Yep.
We're starting to see more and more of them actually crop up at our rival university, UVic, which is beginning to do a really, really, really good job of recruitment. They have in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a fair number of those guys, so it's
Yep.
It's a good league for sure. We recently beat Seattle, which USA Rugby had ranked as number 1.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a great result.
Yeah, it was really, really, really good. They were ranked the number 1 rugby club in USA by USA Rugby, and it was good to go out there. That would now be the 3rd time we had beaten them. We beat them to get out of the previous league, which was Okanagan Spring Brewery League 1, which was where I first started.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So, coaching a university side, you've got obviously a younger playing group than you would against the teams you're up against. What are some of the challenges of coaching guys who are probably in their early 20s mostly against guys who have there may be some guys in their mid to late 30s who have got a good couple of 100 club games under their belt. What are some of the challenges there?
Well, from my perspective, being the forwards coach out there, obviously where teams are going to look to beat us up will be the scrum.
Yeah.
First place, they're going to look to take our own ball off us at the set piece in the line-out as well.
Yeah.
To us. And then I do some basic skill work as well, obviously with all the teams. So just to bring you into the fold here, I'm not just the forwards coach for our top team.
Yeah.
So we run a men's team, a men's first division team, a men's third division team, and a men's U20 team.
Right, great.
So I do the forward work for all of those groups.
So 4 teams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build our lineouts, things like that, which are very, very, our lineouts are basic. Our scrums are quite basic. The challenges we face, obviously, are exactly what you would expect, which are just physical challenges. With the inclusion of crouch, bind, set, rugby has done an excellent job in reducing a lot of the unnecessary impact in the scrum.
Yeah.
Playing crouch, engage, and now it's crouch. There was crouch touch, pause, engage, and crouch touch set, and it's crouch bind set. All of it just comes down to how well you can handle your physical load. I'm finding, and the players are as well. So in lack of size, we are reliant on technique.
Yeah.
And we've found out up until actually our last game against Seattle, we lost one against the head because people actually have to strike for a ball in a scrum now. We've been really lucky. Our scrum percentage has been 100% on our own ball.
Wow.
So we've been winning all of our own ball. Our lineouts will cough up 1 or 2, but we'll take 4 or 5. So we're very, very, very focused on basic scrummaging technique. I mean, I can't stress enough. What we're doing out there is so alarmingly basic that it doesn't change. It's just best body position, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we've been able to use a lot of our own scrum as an attacking option. We've been lucky this year in the sense that at our top level, we've gotten a few pushover tries. At our U20 level, we're routinely winning not only ours but the opposition scrum ball as well. At our men's first division level, which is kind of where your top tier 18-year-old and your emerging 19-year-old, we just put them directly to men's leagues as well.
Yeah.
If pairing up top of the U20s, things like that. So it all comes down to the fact that those guys take a lot of pride in those basic skills. I mean, a lot of pride.
Yeah.
It's not enough to show up and get a couple sets on the scrum machine. It's not enough when the U20 scrimmage against when our Hawks scrimmage against our Thunderbirds, it's not enough for them just kind of show up and wind up on their faces. They're desperate to win that ball, and it's that addition of those uncoachables that allow for us to encounter that success. And obviously, you being a back, understand the importance of being able to get a clean ball out of a scrum and a nice attack pass. It's a confidence boost.
Yeah, so a lot of what you're talking about there sounds like attitudinal stuff there. That it's more mindset stuff rather than, as you say, you're doing complete scary kind of basic work there. It's nothing. There's no rocket science there. So obviously the coach's role there is to really push on the accountability and on the expectations that the group have of themselves in those situations, right?
It's everything we do out there is character based.
Yeah.
Every scrum is something that you're to take pride in. The fact that you're out there playing and you don't hear from a coach on the day is something that you take pride in. We're very, very hands off in that approach. During the week when we train, I'm like a wet blanket. I understand that, but come Saturday, we don't have anything to say to those guys because they take so much pride in their own skill.
Yeah.
They know ball, and they know when they lose a scrum. They know when they slip a bind. They know when they leave early. They're all things that they're well aware of, and it's a culture that they themselves have built. I've been lucky enough to be there to help facilitate it, though.
Yeah, great. All right, so challenges being set piece and the physical kind of winning the contact part of the game. What about some advantages for coaching a university side in a men's league?
Well, we have a very captive audience.
Yeah.
Very, very captive audience, and we have the training facilities at UBC are second to none. We just got a brand new stadium in. A brand new field in right in front of our Gerald McGavin rugby facility.
Sweet.
I believe the new groundskeeper for a rugby field is the old Everton guy or something.
Oh, wow.
Soccer guy. I don't really know. He did outstanding field.
Yeah.
And the way it's set up like an anvil. Everything's in a triangle, so you can it's a short walk everywhere. You got to walk from the Smith and Laco varsity gym to the Gerald McGavin clubhouse to the Keith Woods turf all weather field. So the advantages are there's no one's coming in late because they had work, or no one's got their girlfriend's or mom's birthday or something like that. It's not we don't run into a lot of those same issues. Because once you make a varsity status list, there are financial benefits for some guys.
Yep.
It is, I believe, as close as we're getting right now to a paid to play model. We pay you to work out, so you get that. It's not a lot of money either, but you get that financial incentive where I'm a member of the varsity status. I'm a member of this program, all these other things, and guys want to be there at a club. Having coached there for years, it can obviously be tricky. You have people that are work commitments and the rest of that. So that's and then youth is obviously on our side. Being 31 years old, if I were doing a fraction of what those guys are doing, there is no bend. It's purely break.
Yeah.
We have a very excellent medical staff. We have excellent prehab facilities, and it's just we want to mitigate as much excuse and worry as possible. So come Saturday, and not just weekend to weekend, but 2 months down the road, we've done our due diligence, and those guys don't have an excuse not to succeed. And that's part of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think a bunch of stuff that you're saying there resonates, especially just the fact that these kids at this age, they don't have the life hassles that adult, real like full-grown adults kind of in the workforce, and all the pressures and parenting. Not that that's a life hassle, but just the push and pull from everything else outside of rugby. So that must be really that must be a nice luxury. How much contact time do you get with the guys? How many times are they on the field practicing? How many times are they in the weight room lifting? So
Monday is gym, rehab, prehab.
Yeah.
Tuesday is skills. Wednesday is prehab, rehab, weights. Thursday is unit-specific skills and a little bit of gameplay. We don't actually do any tactics at all. People have been asking us, what's your game plan? What are you guys running? I wish I knew. I honestly did. Play certain rugby in certain areas based on what they see in front of them. It comes back down to that empowerment facet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Saturday. Sunday is obviously a day of rest. And, You don't, it's. I don't want to say that there are no pressures, there are no worries for these guys. Like, we're in exams right now. Guys will miss games due to exams.
Yeah.
Guys hearing programs, they have to do a co-op. We have guys in med school, and they have to go and they got to go work at St. Paul's or St. Vincent's. You've got guys that are in Sauder School of Business and heads of various committees. They've got to do things. So there are those pressures there, but with effective time management and understanding, we tend to mitigate a lot of that. Like, if you have an exam, you say, hey, we've got an exam. Just let your coaches know. We work around that.
Yeah, the academic requirements to stay in UBC are pretty high, right?
Yeah, to get in or high, to stay in or high. There's a myth that we're able to bend rules and get guys in that have poor grades, things like that. But we don't want those people. We don't want that guy. I want the guy that's, we want the straight A student. We want the guy with the good grades, because if you can sit in a classroom and compete for days on end all through your formative years, odds are you're going to be competitive and intelligent on a rugby field as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I know that's a myth from a personal standpoint. I know that's a myth because one of my athletes that you guys identified a couple of years ago, he couldn't get in because of academics. He's not that he's academically weak, but it's very academically demanding, UBC, and he couldn't get in even though you guys identified him. So there's that's obviously the first thing that's got to come into it is they're going to be they're going to have a life after rugby, so you can't bend those rules.
That's what's most important. I mean, it's one thing for us to come out and have the record we currently have and build the program we do, but what they're doing beyond rugby is very, very important to all members of our staff.
Yeah,
it's very important. That's just the reality. Not a lot of guys are getting paid to play rugby in Canada, so if you look at a very holistic, a very natural approach to your life moving forward. I'm watching it happen right now. You can have school, you can have a life, and you can still play highly competitive rugby. It's it's very, very, very good to see. We're getting guys that are doing full-time school and a job, but they're also, they have their comforts of their home and they're still able to play rugby. It's good, and that comes down to us not having to hold your hand through school, because if you can't manage all that workload, in the place you come in that school, chew you up and spit you up. There's 60,000 people out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all right. So you mentioned that before Rama took over, that UBC were struggling, and then there's been quite a turnaround. I believe you guys won the BC Championship last year, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in first place this year. What do you put down to some of the strategies that you guys put in place to get that turnaround? There's got to be a bunch, right?
The gentleman that we kind of took over from, Spence McTavish.
Yep.
I would say 90% of it goes to him. Spence was there for years and years and years, and he did an outstanding job. Towards the end, there were some changes that need to take place, not with him, but with some of the people that were currently involved in the program.
Okay.
And when Ramsey asked me if I wanted to work, I said, well, I'm at a rugby club right now, and how is it different? And he said it's different in the sense that we have a chance to rebuild this, which for myself, it was outstanding. Got a chance to rebuild it, went in there. We paid very close attention to recruitment, paid very close to coaches in Canada. Other coaches with us, we talked, what is it that you're doing? What would you like to see? Guys like yourself, I spoke to you about it when I first started. Every coach I talk to, we try and pick something up, because we're trying to build something that is, in fact, inherently Canadian.
Yeah.
And we found that our athletes have really bought into that. On a recruitment level, we've been very lucky with our alumni. We're not CIS, so we're allowed a little bit more leeway in terms of who we can recruit and how we recruit. So you look at our roster, we have some very, very top level players from other countries, and I understand that seems kind of like a bit of a contradiction, something inherently Canadian.
Yeah.
But the guys we have are permanent residents, eligible for Canada, and Canadian grandparents and things like that. Yeah. And right now on our roster, within our league, you're only allowed 4 imports.
Yep.
So on our Saturday game day, we have 1 import on the field.
Right.
That are managing not to start. So it comes down to recruitment. we've managed to turn around there, build a profile, empower the players, make it theirs. And our alumni, I cannot speak enough about them. The support from the school could obviously be better in terms of how they view our program.
Yeah.
Oldest varsity sport at the University of British Columbia,
Right.
but we're CIS, so it's kind of an awkward situation.
Yeah.
But
So explain the CIS situation there. How's that work for non-Canadians who don't understand the university league?
Intersport, Canadian Intersport, I believe it's Canada's NCAA, and we are not involved in it because CIS hasn't made rugby a CIS sport. I hope to see that change one day.
Yeah.
I think that just living in it right now and having been involved in rugby for as long as I have, I think the future of rugby within Canada will be through the universities. If you don't go to university, you obviously stay at your club. And then when you're done at university, you come back to your club or your region or whatever. I know clubs face their challenges. I know provincial unions face their challenges. And obviously our national program has plenty of challenges to face as well. I would much rather just get it done than sit around and wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
If America, having played down there as well and paying very close attention to what goes on, if America comes in and makes rugby an NCAA sport in all facets, watch out.
Yeah.
It's going to be, it'll be a machine. It already is a machine, but it'll be a much more organized, much more, goal-based machine.
Yeah.
Graham Brown obviously has left Rugby Canada. He is now the president of the CIS, I believe, and I would urge Graham Brown to give a good, long look at using not just rugby universities on the West Coast, but rugby universities coast to coast as a development tool.
Yeah, absolutely. But so correct me if I'm wrong. I think women's rugby is CIS, but men's is not. Is that correct?
Women's rugby is CIS, and you're seeing. I mean, look at the level of success they're getting out of CIS women's rugby right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
You look at guys like Sean Allen, Pletch back east, Dr. Maria Gallo over here has managed to turn a lot of stuff around. And these people are seeing consistent success, not just on a recruitment level, but just as an option. I mean, you're getting women coming out of high school going directly into a university program, and it's not middling competition. It's excellent, high value competition with an eye towards development. You can track these athletes. And you can already see what it's doing at a women's level. Why not make the shift to men's right away as well?
Yeah, and the transfer to the international women's game was pretty clear with Canada coming second in the world at the last World Cup.
Highly evident. Look at the recent women's Maple Leafs tour. Or look at Canada U20. Look at how many of those athletes are engaged at the university level.
Yeah, absolutely.
The proof is right there, and they're showing well.
Yeah. Well, let's hope something changes there. Because got to get as many quality Canadian players on that national team, on both men's and women's national teams. So let's hope that changes. So if someone was to watch a session you were coaching, what are some things that if they sat down, they watched a 40-minute session you were doing, what's some of the things they'd see and hear?
In all honesty, they wouldn't see anything new. From my perspective, it's the same routine. It does get a bit droll, but the guys like it.
Mm.
You would see body activation for if I was doing a 20-minute scrum session. We try as little time as possible out there. You would see activation, 1-versus-1, application, directional force. Where am I setting my body? A little bit of bind work, individual skills as well, and then we would just get right into back row, second row on front row, hold the tension, do the best we possibly can there, build a scrum, get a bunch of live sets in, and that would be it. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say what we're doing is so simple, and it's so effective because it is so simple.
Yeah.
And lineouts again, much the same. Practice some of your core non-negotiable skills. Those measurables that you need to see in a lineout. If we suffered on defense the week previous, then we'll work on defense during the upcoming week. Obviously, you target the opposition lineout. You play to your strengths. Roster changes. We do have injuries, so build a bit of timing. But none of it is like. And I'm not trying to be crass here, but if you were to come out to UBC, you wouldn't see anything brand new. No one out there is reinventing the wheel. No one out there is trying to do rugby-wise anything complicated because there's no point.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's a simple game, and it's really easy to overcomplicate it.
We don't have a playbook.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I kind of shudder when I see these 20-page playbooks and
Oof.
12 different options for backs plays for a sense, which at a professional level that might be okay, and you have the time and the contact time with those athletes, and they're capable of cognitively, processing that on the field. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Just keep it super simple.
Yeah.
Have a few non-negotiables that you absolutely must see, and then let the players decide the rest.
Well, and I'm by no means am I knocking tactic-based play, and I'm not knocking any of that stuff. But by and large, it is that cargo cult coaching method, where we this worked for Australia, or I just saw this in Super 15, and then you institute it in practice. Wonder why it's not working. Well, it's because you're not the Reds. You're not you're not the Rebels. You're not the Springboks or the All Blacks. And when I first came to UBC, there were 56 different lineout options. We run 5 lineups.
Yeah, wow, 56. That's
yeah,
a lot of options.
Yeah, 56 lineout options. I believe there were 12 back row plays off the base of the scrum. We have one. It's pick with the wheel.
Yep.
And even that's hard enough to get them to do.
Yeah. Well, don't give away your secrets, man. People will hear this.
Hey, on that note, and I've said this to coaches from, all across the country here at these national festivals. If anybody ever wants to come out to UBC and run a training, take part in a training, watch a training, that door is always open.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's great. When I was out there, I caught up with you last. I didn't have the time to do that, but next time I'm out there, I definitely want to for sure.
We'll just hand you a team.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love it. Cool. So, what's your favorite area of the game to coach? You obviously set pieces right up there.
Yeah, the set pieces, because it's it's instant gratification for me. I've got my own coaching compulsions, and nothing better than obviously a good clean set piece with a good clean ball, be it a line out or a scrum.
Yeah.
I particularly like I really like coaching the ruck, to be honest with you. I think there's there's no greater calling in the game, I think, than being able to consistently win your own ball in the open field. Obviously when you do have the ball, you have to make intelligent decisions with it. But before we can start working on, over lines, unders lines, wide lines, the whole nine, somebody has to get that ball out of the bottom of that ruck.
Yeah.
And I've always been, I would say the only thing I was moderately decent when I was playing was cleaning people off the ball.
Yeah.
I think it's just the perfect blend of gray. They are laws, they're not rules, and I think if you're ever to test the boundaries of anything, that is the place right there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mate. Well, we always end the show with the 4 same questions. When you were a kid growing up, you said you got into the game about 12 years old.
Yep.
Who was your favourite rugby player back then?
Favorite rugby player back then? Oh, shoot. You already asked me these questions. I think I answered them. What did I have down on paper?
You meant to prep before the interview. Hold on, you're gonna have to make me go into my little spreadsheet here.
Who was the player I looked up to the most? I don't think it was a rugby player.
No, Larry Bird you put down.
Yeah, he's my favorite athlete of all time, Larry Bird, Lawrence Joseph Bird from French Lick, Indiana. You look at the history of that man, and you look at the way he conducted himself on and off the court. Had a particularly brutal upbringing.
Absolutely.
And he just made the most of it that he could. He managed to rise above a lot of perceptions around the game and keep it strictly focused on the game. He had every excuse to be a polarizing figure for racial issues, and he didn't give a shit. He was out there to just play basketball, and he's got a very good saying. I remember hearing it for the first time as a teenager. And it's, players will always see right through a phony, and they can tell when you're not giving it all you've got. And it's so true, and that stuck with me. You've always got that guy in the locker room that wants to have the last word, or when you get scored on, and the guy screaming underneath the post, barking at his team. And I never responded well to that, and I don't think anybody else does. And Larry Bird, you just watch him, even when his team was down, he never did anything except just put it on him and get after it.
Yeah, it's good seeing crossover ones like that who doesn't just need to be rugby players. But yeah, I like his story, Larry Bird. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about right now? Who are some of the rugby players, the international players going around that you really like watching?
Oh, you know what, Andy? I got to be completely honest with you. I do rugby 5-6 days a week. I actually watch a lot of rugby.
You've prepared terribly for this interview, I've got to say.
You know, well, I was more excited about talking to you and talking about rugby than myself, to be completely honest with you.
We just pick a name, someone not from the All Blacks.
Somebody, well, that's easy to do. World Rugby's a big place. I really like the Georgian captain, Godzilla.
Yeah, he was awesome, eh?
I like every single player on the Namibian national team. I think
Absolutely.
those guys are great.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
You look at just true love of the game.
Yeah.
Look at the conditions they train under. I think that they're onto some really excellent things there. He's not necessarily a player, but a coach. I think watching what Vern Cotter has managed to do after he left Claremont.
Yeah, agree.
Gone over to Scottish rugby. He obviously had to go in there, clean a bit of house, and do the best he possibly can with what he's got. And with what he's got is a remarkable sense of pride and empowerment with the clubs around him in Scotland. And he's done a really excellent job there. I think I'm quite happy to see the fad of moving crossover athletes into the sport and things like that is over with. I think that, Sam Burgess is great. I love watching rugby league, but I don't think he was a union player.
Yeah.
And I really, 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 I have a lot of time for what Scotland is doing. As I sit here in my apartment in North Vancouver, British Columbia, and wax poetic about the Scottish Rugby Football Union.
It's all good. That's what the show's for. Okay, so you stole my third question there. Favourite coaches going around. What about my fourth question? Who's the coach digging away in the trenches that you think deserves a mention?
Ramsey Slangston.
Agree.
I work alongside this guy, and I'm not just saying this because he's a good friend of mine. He doesn't do a single thing that we're supposed to do, we've been told to do as coaches. The approach is, it's not for everybody, and because of that, I have nothing but respect for the man. He is the first one to say, maybe what I'm doing isn't the right way to do it. Show me a better way to do it. Highly motivated learner that for my own personal coach development, I knew the guy, socialized with the guy, to actually coach alongside him. It is constant. I've never once heard him say, no, you can't do that, Curry.
Yeah.
It's a constant. I'm the other head coach out there, but there is a hierarchy, and he is the guy. And he's always said, try it out. If it doesn't work, we'll get after it. Try it out. If it doesn't work, we'll fix it. Try it out. Very receptive to new information.
Yeah.
New information. And it's very rewarding to work with somebody like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's a good bloke. And I like catching up with him whenever I see him. So, just like you are a good bloke, mate, and thanks a bunch for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Had a great chat with you, and really looking forward to catching up with you in real life one day soon.
Okay, well, when you're out here, give me a call, and if you need anything else, Andy, just shoot me a text.
Absolutely, man. Awesome, Curry. Thanks, bud.
Take care, bye.
Okay, cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review via iTunes and keep listening for the next episode. You can also follow us on Twitter at RugbyCoachSCNR or via the website at therugbycoachescorner.com. Until next time, keep sharing ideas to make the game better.